Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we dig into... Oh, sorry, I gotta take this. Animal Crossing's on my phone. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellis, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp announcement and the Switch's plans to outsell the Wii U in a year. And then on Thursday, we're going to be coming back to talk about Super Mario Odyssey. But in the meantime, Mark, how are you?
I'm great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have no complaints.
None whatsoever.
Zero. I have zero complaints.
You were so ready to back down from that. You were ready to concede, I have some complaints.
I'm only human.
Right, of course.
But the complaints, they're not necessary.
Right. Look, we're living in a post-SMO world, Super Mario Odyssey.
Uh-huh.
So there's no reason to be upset anymore.
No, I mean, sure. Would it be great if at this moment a drone was delivering a large bag of Sour Patch Kids to me? Of course, that would be great.
That would be great. Of course. I bought some trick-or-treat candy. Happy Halloween, by the way.
Happy Halloween to you as well.
I bought some trick-or-treat candy. No one came to trick-or-treat. And Sarah and I have just been picking the crackle out of the bag of candy.
So if people do show up for trick-or-treating, they're going to have the gross...
They're going to have Mr. Goodbar.
Ugh.
And like the dark Hershey's chocolates.
Oh, man, that's a rough... That is a not happy Halloween.
It's not going to happen. No one's going to trick-or-treat around here. It just doesn't happen.
I don't even bother. I don't even buy... I mean, I buy candy.
Right.
I don't buy it for other people.
Right. Weather report. Happy Halloween again.
Happy Halloween. It rained?
Who knows,
on my way over here? No, I know. It happened to me.
No one can confirm it.
I was a witness.
No one knows.
It rained in Los Angeles. Last week we were complaining about how hot it was. It is officially hoodie weather. It took like...
I was going to say, you are wearing a hoodie. It is now appropriate.
It took like 3 hours on Saturday for the changeover to happen. I was outside. It was hot. I went inside for a few hours. I came out. It was cold.
I was in the Bay Area last week and over the weekend, and I think we had the exact same shift in weather. Hot, almost 100 degrees, and then come Saturday, bam, it's Halloween, basically.
You know where it's cool right now?
Ooh, transitioning into guest weather.
Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Tell me about Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
It's, well, I was going to say it's clear and sunny. Of course, as we're recording this, it is late, so not super sunny. Although the sun still exists, just not shining on Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
I mean, I think
at the moment.
That's true of all weather reports, is that no matter what, even if it's cloudy, the sun still exists.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's about 42 degrees right now, but it is the middle of the night, so it looks like it's hovering in like the high 60s, low 70s. Totally pleasant in Chapel Hill.
I deem the biggest of ups to Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Big ups to our listeners in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. No surprises, we've both been playing Super Mario Odyssey. We're not going to talk too much about it here because that's what's going to happen on Thursday. And also, I haven't gotten too much of an opportunity to play it yet. But you dug in over the weekend?
Yeah, and I'm really excited to talk to you about it, to talk to anybody about this game, because it's a very good game. But I have some opinions about it.
Right, Mark's got feelings. We got to sort those out. We are currently recording with the full complement of Super Mario Odyssey amiibo and my Best Buy pre-order coin.
Which, less impressed with than the amiibos.
The amiibo are pretty cool. The coin...
sounds cheap. Like, when you picked it up immediately, I was like, wow, that's cheap.
Well, it's in a plastic case.
Is it an actual coin, though?
Yeah, touch
it.
Yeah.
I see. That actually is cooler upon closer inspection. I thought the plastic case that's around the coin...
You thought that was the coin.
Was the coin itself with, like, a cardboard insert.
Oh, no.
inside.
Yeah, I've tried to open it. I'm not sure that I can. I may not have the like fingernail dexterity to. Oh no, I just did it. I just did it. Here's the coin. Cappy's on one side, and there's a map of the kingdoms on the other.
Oh yeah, that's pretty nice.
So we've taken it all back. The coin is awesome.
The amiibo are really nice. Nintendo's gotten really good at making these amiibo.
Yeah, I agree. There are so many different tech. Even though, like, it's weird that the overwhelming color on these things is white, but like they don't kind of rest on that. There's like a matte white color. There's like a translucent white that's Peach's veil,
And her and like the one part of her dress.
yeah, and the rest of it is kind of like a pearlized, like sparkly white. And Bowser's got these like all these different textures. It's all very cool. I like the way they look a lot. And the Bowser amiibo is huge.
Yeah, and heavy.
Yes, yes, he's very heavy. What else have you been playing this week, Mark?
Outside of Super Mario Odyssey, I've had a little bit of time to play some Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like I've gotten my groove with the game,
Oh, okay.
but you know, we talked about before how every day in game you don't feel like you have enough time to do everything you want to do.
Yes.
And that is such a smart like game design mechanic because it makes
Keeps
you
you coming
continue
back,
to
yeah.
play. Good, because a day ends and normally I'd be like, okay, the day's over. I'm going to in real life going to go to sleep now.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I'm just like, I have to do one more day so I can go back into that mine, or I have to do one more
Right.
day so I can like it was a Wednesday, so Pierre's shop was closed, and so I have to go back
You have to
on
go back
Thursday,
for Thursday.
so I can take care of the business I wasn't able to take care of on Wednesday. But because it does have that day cycle, it is also one of the games that I find easier to do like short bursts with,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna play like a couple of days, and then I can like put it down and go back to playing Odyssey or something like that.
Yeah, it is a game that, unlike most, has frequent opportunities for you to say, like, okay, that was it, you know? Which I guess Odyssey kind of does too, because every moon that you pick up, you can be like, okay, that was it. Like, that was the accomplishment point. But they almost happen so frequently that you're like, it's just a steady stream of moons coming in.
Well, we'll talk
We will
about
talk
that more
about
on
that.
Thursday.
I was on a plane a couple times this week, so I picked up Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga to play on the plane. I had never played Superstar Saga, and I was like, hey, we talked about how I've got kind of a blind spot for the Mario and Luigi games, and I'm enjoying it. The one of like the main mechanics of like the overworld of the game, like as you're traversing it, is that Mario and Luigi have all of these different like team up moves, is how they can like jump and traverse along the map, and like they can hit each other with hammers, and Mario hits Luigi and it like sends him underground, and Luigi hits Mario and it shrinks him down to a little size. So that's how like they access other areas of the map, which is cool, but it means that sometimes when you're just trying to get from like one place to another, it gets kind of finicky with like, oh, I got to do that. I got to switch like the moves over, and like you've got 9 different moves on the bottom screen that you have to like push and select to like make sure that you're getting from one area to the next. So it's just a little bit more fussy than I want it to be in between the combat portions and like the story beats. But it's beautiful. The game has like the new sprite work in the 3DS version is great. Really funny, really expressive. So overall, I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
What's like the tone or like atmosphere of this game? Like, is it fun to just be in the world, or
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of more fun to like experience the story of it. The world isn't really anything to write home about. Mario and Luigi are in the Bean Kingdom. Bean Kingdom is maybe what it's called. And you know, it's got like some cute characters. Mostly, it's just Fawful, who is in a lot of the Mario and Luigi games. Who is like interesting, and like his syntax is messed up, and so like every time he opens his mouth it's funny, right? But like the world itself is a little generic and a little like Mushroom Kingdom, but with beans instead of mushrooms. So yeah, I don't know, it doesn't light my imagination on fire or anything. It's a fun game with a cute story. And I think I'm gonna finish it. I have no idea how far in the game I am, because like I only like I keep finding like new mechanics or like a new like element to level up or something like that. So I'm maybe like 6 hours into it. And I could be halfway through the game, or I could be like a tenth of the way through the game. I have no concept. I mean, this might be dumb, but in a RPG, it kind of bums me out that there are really just two characters.
Mm-hmm.
That your playable characters are Mario and they are Luigi, and that's it. If you want more characters, you don't get them.
How are they at like distinguishing between the two? Like, do they feel like they have distinct and interesting personalities? Because these games, I mean, to an extent in which I confuse the developers, like
Yeah.
these games, and I kind of conflate the Mario and Luigi series with the Paper Mario series. And one of the strengths of the Paper Mario series is that your companions are so interesting.
Yeah, and so different.
And so different. And
from each other and from Mario. No, Mario and Luigi are pretty similar. I think this is the original version of this game is where you started to see the kind of like Luigi, like scaredy cat kind of personality come out. That's really expressed in Luigi's Mansion. So like, there's some of that, and like they both just have like kind of cute, fun, funny personalities. But yeah, a lot of ways it seems like Mario and then like a green Mario. And some of the characters in there call them like, hey, it's Mario and green, or they call them like Mustache Man or whatever. So like it's got a really a smart like sense of humor about itself. But yeah, the Mario and Luigi are pretty similar, both in like personality and like gameplay. They have different moves, but they're all based on the same like jump and or hammer mechanics. They're just different like series of it's all all the combat is based on like timed button presses, and so they just have like different series of them for their special moves. It's neat, but it's kind of a perfect airplane game, where it's like I just need to turn my mind off and let the game happen to me for 2 hours or whatever. So it has been accomplishing that. Mark, I say it's time we get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
it's kind of the calm before the storm this week,
Mm.
new release wise, because November, at least to me, is just feeling more and more packed.
Yeah, that's where we get all those third-party games.
Yeah, and today or this week, not so much. Monopoly for Nintendo Switch came out today, and the Neo Geo game is Art of Fighting 3.
How many fighting games, Neo Geo fighting games, is this on Switch?
Oh man, I don't even know. And I mean, we read these basically every week, and they all kind of sound the same to me.
Yeah, it's tough too because like between the two of us, I'm like the fighting game guy, and I couldn't tell you anything about Art of Fighting 3.
If I had to guess,
Yeah,
I would say, oh man, how many weeks is the Switch? I was gonna say like 20.
it could be 20 games.
Yeah.
There are like 3 different Samurai Showdowns on here. There are
A couple King of Fighters.
Yeah, probably upwards of 10. There's Garu, Mark of Wolves. There's upward, it's possible 3 Art of Fighting games. It's a lot.
And then on
World Heroes.
and then on Thursday, November 2nd, 2 Switch eShop releases. Wheels of, I think it's Aurelia?
Mm-hmm.
Aurelia. I had never heard of this game before, but saw it on the coming soon in the eShop channel and was looking at it, and visually it's really interesting. It kind of seems like my understanding is that it's like a visual novel where you are driving through like Italy and it like along the coast, and it maybe is like a period piece. It might take place in like the 60s or 70s.
Okay.
And so there's some like driving in it, but it's mostly just kind of like a visual novel type game. I don't know. It looks very appealing. It looks very summery. It looks very like stylistically fun and appropriate.
It sounds like a Japanese game. Is this a Japanese game?
I don't think it is.
Really?
I think it's made by a Western developer. And then Chess Ultra is coming out, which is there's probably some twist, some ultra twist on the classic game of chess.
Akuma's a playable character.
And then on Friday, there's a new Nintendo 2DS XL coming out. It's like that Pokeball edition,
Yeah.
which once again, Nintendo is just releasing and announcing new variations on the 3DS that are just really fun and visually appealing.
And that's out ahead of Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah,
like
a couple weeks.
A week and a half, 2 weeks later, something like that. Which I think you and I are still not excited about. Mark, let's move out of the new releases. That's going to bring us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, where a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Bear with me on this one. It starts out a little weird and ends a little bit weird. So we are going to talk about musicals today. Mark, you saw Hamilton this weekend?
Yeah, that's right.
Were you a Hamilton fan before going to see it?
Yeah, I would say a casual Hamilton fan. Mm-hmm. I had heard like the album before and enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to seeing it. I have to make that distinction because there are people who are just
Hamilton heads.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say like too into it because people can live their lives and, it's kind of harmless to be a huge, enormous fan of Hamilton, but it gets to be a bit much sometimes.
Sure. And you've already put the idea out there that there is such a thing as loving Hamilton too much, so we may as well just embrace the fact that that's what you said and what you meant. Have you ever had a musical like that you felt super strongly about, that like you were obsessed with, like maybe as a kid? Or because I know for me, I'll offer mine first. As a kid, we used to listen to Les Miserables in the car all the time, right? So I loved it as a child, having no idea of French prostitutes or the French Revolution or anything like that.
Yeah, Les Miserables is actually, that's really funny that was your guys's, because some of my best memories as a child are playing Donkey Kong Country when it was raining outside with the sound off, listening to the Les Mis soundtrack.
Now, Mark, I'm going to have to deduct you a couple points for talking about Nintendo during this.
Oh man,
it's just
but
down,
fair is
down
fair.
A couple points. But to the point where Les Mis for me is so baked into my brain that when the movie came out a couple years ago, I totally lost any ability to judge it critically. I don't think it's a good movie, but as soon as it started, I started crying.
Oh, see,
and that was it. I just felt everything the whole time.
I wish I had felt that because I found that movie so disappointing.
Yeah, it probably is. I would just, as soon as it started, I felt all of my experiences of seeing and listening to Les Mis as a kid just over and over again.
We would always kind of be pushed by my parents to skip over the Lovely Ladies song.
Okay, it's not a great song either. I mean, that's a good one to skip. Plus, you can get to Master of the House a little bit quicker.
Right.
That's got some bawdy lyrics that are super fun when you're a kid.
My parents were not a big fan of that one either.
As an adult, I find myself not really loving that song, or really even that musical for that matter.
I think I still have a lot of emotional attachment to the musical just because I liked it so much as a kid. I do think it's interesting that anything else that pair has written, like Miss Saigon, I have absolutely no interest in and find unlistenable.
See, we did a lot of Miss Saigon when I was a kid, and I think that's you. If I were to listen to it fresh now, I would be like, "What is this? Why is it so soft rock-y?" Throughout the whole solo saxophone thing. And I don't know, the narrative of her only way out of this war zone is getting knocked up. It's all gross, right? The whole thing is gross. It's a sick story. Other musicals that you've been a fan of?
Well, here's a controversial opinion. I don't really like Stephen Sondheim that much.
Okay.
I think Into the Woods is garbage.
So here's the thing. I don't think that's that controversial of an opinion.
Oh, really? I thought Into the Woods is beloved.
No, I mean, Into the Woods, I would say, is the exception.
Oh, okay.
That Sondheim, for the most part, is hard to get, because his melodies are so talky and so meandering, and he's harmonically very challenging.
Yeah, and I'm not into that. I want a good hook.
Yeah, you want a good hook, and in Into the Woods, there really is like that that I Wish song at the beginning, like that's got a decent hook. And Agony has a decent hook, but like the rest of it is tough to get through. I recently made myself get into Company. Do you know Company, Sondheim?
No.
It's about like dating in the 60s and 70s and just like having a hard time connecting to people. So themes that resonate. But the last song in there, which is called "Being Alive," is awesome and kind of like my primer to Sondheim. Like it's how I.
Well, I'm assuming we'll never know.
We'll never know. We were accompanied today by Gaslight. Let's move on to the news.
Last week we talked about it a little bit, or the announcement of the Direct. We were all anticipating it. It's finally here. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp was announced in last Tuesday's Animal Crossing Direct. We were talking a little bit about this beforehand, that feels like a million years ago.
Yeah.
Not just last Tuesday.
Feels like a long time ago. Also, we were talking before the show, and this thing should be called Animal Crossing Happy Camper.
Yeah, I have been calling it that all day.
So if we mess up and call it Happy Camper, just autocorrect in your head for Pocket Camp.
Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. It's going to take me a little... I guess it delivers what it promises, but it's going to take a little bit of time for me to get used to that as the title.
And honestly, my phone's so big now, I don't keep it in my pockets anymore. It's going to be Satchel Camp for Patrick.
So last week I talked a big game. I put on like a frowny face. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like Animal Crossing mobile. I don't know if I need this in my life. And then as soon as like the Direct started with its adorable presentation, and it just had me hook, line, and sinker.
Well, okay, so let's talk about what the game is a little bit, because for my money, it's surprising how full-featured this thing appears to be.
Oh, same, yeah.
It seems like it is an Animal Crossing game. Just instead of having a town, you have a campsite. Instead of having your own house, you have a camper.
Right, you are the manager of a campsite.
Adorable.
Of a campground. That's like the general premise. And yeah, you have a camper RV type thing that is fully customizable inside. Customizable? Is that what I said?
Customizable. You were like Homer Simpson saying saxophone. Customizable.
Customizable inside and out. And at your campsite, it seems like there are like animal visitors or residents.
Yeah, I would guess that they are visiting, and these are all of the animal characters from previous Animal Crossing games. So all of your favorites like KK Slider, and if you like another one, Isabel. I like Isabel. Yeah. I like Lottie, the otter.
So you can visit them. Oh, excuse me. You can visit them, and they will give you tasks. One of the tasks that was an example in the Direct was like, can you get me 5 apples or something like that? And then you can, of course, just go to trees and shake them by tapping on them, and then apples will drop. And this is one of those places where like the mobile game timer, like cooldown type thing happens, is fruit is on a timer, which it is in like a regular Animal Crossing game.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that they highlighted in the Direct that seemed a little either like redundant or like you don't really need to say it, is that the time in the game reflects the actual time of day that it currently is in the real world.
Yes.
Which is also how Animal Crossing on 3DS works.
Yes, but I think the distinction is that while that is true for the mobile game, the fruit is on like a separate timer.
Sure.
Right? Like it's not like the 3DS game or any of the other Animal Crossings where, once a day you have fruit.
Sure.
This is,
I get what you're saying.
kind of like a different beast a little bit. So once you fulfill the mission or quest or whatever that your animal friend gave you, then they will give you material like cotton or something like that. Then you can use that to craft a piece
couch,
of furniture,
right?
Like a couch, like a table, something like that. And that's also on a timer. So when you turn in your materials to Cyrus, I think it is.
Yeah. He's a llama.
Yeah,
He builds furniture for you.
It'll take some time for it to be built.
Some actual, literal, real world time.
Which you can speed up by buying
leaf tickets.
And those cost real world money.
So,
or you can just wait.
Yes, and you can encounter leaf tickets through the regular course of play as
well.
well.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it seems like here's like and that's how this game is monetized, right? A little bit of a pay to win situation, with the one caveat being that like there's no winning Animal Crossing. And really, when you buy something or when you better like your campsite, in a way, what you're doing is just like making a more interesting place for your friends to visit, or like you're buying something to like give to your friends.
Is gifting a part of this game? That's what I wondered. I wasn't sure.
That was the impression I was under. I guess I'm not 100% sure.
It makes total sense because either way, Nintendo's getting the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't care.
Right.
So it would be because that is a big part of Animal Crossing, like the games themselves, is giving and receiving gifts as a way to increase friendship levels, which in this game is made very literal in that each like character you encounter has a friendship level that increases. It's like adding like an RPG element to it.
Yeah.
The more quests you fulfill, the higher your like friendship level goes.
Right. And there's always been like a little bit of like if you do something for an animal, they like you. And little hearts fly out from their head and they like do a little dance. But it's kind of cool that that's being tracked in like a numerical kind of way.
Right. It's actually, you can actually like see it instead of it being in like the code of the game.
Right. That would be helpful just like in life to be like, how many friendship points do I have with this person?
That sounds a lot like a Black Mirror episode.
That's episode 2. I just started watching Black Mirror after like 4 years of people saying, hey, you should watch Black Mirror. I finally caved.
I think you probably should have watched it before everybody felt super depressed about the world.
I mean, I should have done anything before everyone felt super depressed about the world, right? I mean, we're all just trying to get by now. And I think Animal Crossing Happy Camper is part of that.
One of the big appeals of Pocket Camp,
yes,
of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp is that, and Animal Crossing in general, is that it is a very like soothing, relaxing, controlled environment.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I liken it kind of to Disneyland, where some people don't really like the simulation that Disneyland is. Like they find it kind of creepy. But to me, it's like it's such good design that you can kind of like release the part of your brain that makes you like worry about your safety all the time, if that makes sense. And I feel like Animal Crossing is the same sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, it is completing a lot of mundane tasks, but it is in a like fun environment that it feels relaxing versus like being a rat in a maze.
Right, or like being stressful or whatever. This is a slight tangent, but were you watching any of the trailers that came out of Paris Games Week this week?
For Sony?
From the Sony, I was going to say Direct. That's not what they call it. Anyway, a lot of those trailers like made me anxious, or they're just so dark. There's a Last of Us 2 trailer, which is really violent. And the Detroit Become Human trailer has like a scene of domestic abuse, and it's just like all of it's so dark and like so overbearing and so like doesn't earn what it's going for, that seeing something like this 15-minute narrated video about Animal Crossing Pocket Camp was like, that's just what I need. Like I just want art that's going to make me feel good and safe and happy for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So this game, you have your campsite, but then you can also visit other campsites, and they are different like terrain. Like there's an ocean one, a forest one, so on and so forth. And then you can of course visit friends, campers, and campsites and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. So do we know if this is one of those have to be online, have to have an online connection?
I assume it is, because I think all of Nintendo's mobile games are. I think that's their way to prevent piracy.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Is Fire Emblem like that?
I would assume.
We both pulled it off our phones pretty quick.
I would assume it is.
Yeah.
I'm assuming so.
Tell you what, we're gonna look into it and debug that next week.
Yeah, but not by downloading it again, right?
Oh no.
Okay, great.
It'll be a Google search. So we should expect this thing in quote late November.
Yeah, it's already out in Australia, New
Mhm.
Zealand, which I guess I was surprised that happened like pretty much right after the direct
Mhm.
happened. But I guess that's fairly common with mobile games like this because they use that kind of like smaller territory to balance the game and
Yeah.
like make changes that might need to happen before they release it to the rest of the world. So yeah, I think probably before around Thanksgiving we'll
Great.
see it out. I think it's gonna be. I could see myself putting a lot of time into it.
Yeah, sort of accidentally or without even realizing it. Like the luster has fallen off of Mario Run for me again. So like, if there's another Nintendo experience to get me back on the phone.
Especially one that feels like, like, again, no stakes. Really, you can half pay attention to.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Sounds very appealing. Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé confirmed that the final Breath of the Wild DLC pack, the Champions Ballad, is still on track for this year.
Surprising, because we haven't really heard anything about it.
We hadn't heard anything about it for a while. I kind of keep expecting like another direct, like a short direct to pop up for the Champions Ballad to detail exactly what it contains.
What if they just don't? What if like just one day it's available and we can just play it and we don't know anything about it before it happens?
Would that be fun?
I don't know. I said what if. I didn't say wouldn't it be cool if.
But I'm countering your question with like, would we want that?
I don't know. No, because when we find out about it and then when it comes out, that's two different times we get to talk about it.
Commerce.
I love talking
content.
About
We love making content.
But I like talking about Breath of the Wild. We haven't had opportunity or reason to, kind of in a little bit. Yeah, it's I feel like we are enough games removed now from Breath of the Wild that it'll take a little bit to like get back into it, to like really playing it.
Yeah, I think so too. But also I think it'll be fun to come back with new content. It'll probably feel a little like fresh at this point.
Yeah, I did turn Zelda on maybe last week to test out the video capture feature, and I could not wrap my head around the X button for jump again. Like I had worked it in my head for so long, and then I went away, and then Splatoon, and now Mario Odyssey. It's just like, oh yeah,
I know. I'm kind of
on the bottom.
I think that it'll be a rough learning curve.
Yes.
Coming back into the game, especially if this is like a high challenge.
Yes.
Scenario. Because I'll be going in pretty rusty. But here's the I think it could happen. I think you're right. Like, it could happen at any time. There was kind of a leak, I guess potentially we'll just label it as like a rumor for now, of a new release of Breath of the Wild coming out called Breath of the Wild Explorers Bundle.
Okay.
And it's rumored to happen about November 23rd. So maybe that's when the DLC will drop too. It's not a hardware bundle. It looks like it's just a repackaging of the game that includes like a 2-sided map and an explorer's guide.
Okay.
With like lore from the story in it. And so I don't know. I wonder if it's just time to release, right before Black Friday, right before the holidays. Or is that actually Black Friday, the 23rd? I don't know when Thanksgiving is.
I don't know when Thanksgiving is this year either. I'm just gonna ask another question we don't have the answer to. When do the Champion amiibo come out? Also in November, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I'm not sure.
I've got them pre-ordered, but I'm not sure when that is. It would be weird for them to be separated by like a lot of time. So
yeah.
And if Reggie's saying it's coming, then it's coming.
Well, and if it does launch in November, November is just. Luckily, this isn't something I would have to pay for because I already paid for it.
Oh, yeah.
Because November is getting very pricey. We just found out that Rocket League officially launches November 14th for $20. So that, like, is what? 1 week period is crazy for Nintendo third-party
So
stuff.
that's Doom.
Because the 10th you have Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think on the 14th you also have LA Noire.
And Rocket League.
And Rocket League.
And the 17th.
And the 17th is
Skyrim.
Skyrim. And then there's going to be some like indie eShop releases.
Yeah.
They're going to be coming out around that time as
Just
well.
getting buried.
I mean, it makes sense because there's no real reason to release games in December.
Right.
I know we have Xenoblade Chronicles 2 coming out December 1st, but that's kind of like the
December 1st is kind of November.
Yeah, like the closer you get to Christmas,
yeah.
People do their holiday shopping way earlier than like the last week before Christmas. So releasing games right around the holiday period is not a great solution. So that's why November is just going to be like insane.
I would also argue that Xenoblade is not going to be a like Christmas gift style game.
Yeah, I think you're very right.
I think if anything, that'll be a game that people pick up with their like Nintendo gift cards on the 26th. You know what I mean?
I also think there shouldn't be expectations that Xenoblade Chronicles is going to be like a huge blockbuster.
Right. Right. Probably not.
I think it is appropriately timed for expectations. And then Nintendo announced their second quarter financial results this morning. The Switch has sold 7.63 million, or Nintendo has shipped 7.63 million Switches so far in its lifetime.
And that's just since March, obviously, when it came out March 3rd. So that's pretty. And these numbers are as of the
September 30th.
September 30th. So there's still been some time since then.
Yeah. So that in and of itself is really good. Nintendo also announced that they are increasing their like expected sell-through of, or I keep saying sell-through, but that's not true. Ship. They expect to ship 14 million Switches this fiscal year, up from a previous estimate of 10 million. And so that will run from that means from April 1st, 2017 to March 30th, 2018. They expect to sell 14 million, and that doesn't include the like
launch.
2.7 that they sold in March 2017. So that would bring the total Switches sold to like 16.7 million, or it'll probably be closer to like 17 million if they're able to at least hit these goals. And
which still puts it like way behind the other like current generation systems, but blows the Wii U out of the water.
Well, it puts it far behind in the sense that the like PS4 and the Xbox One have had 3-4 years on it at this point.
Yeah, but we're also in direct competition with each other too.
What? Maybe.
I mean, okay. Well, we don't have to get into the finer points.
Okay.
You're right, yeah.
But the from what I was reading earlier today and last night, if Nintendo does sell like 17 million in its first calendar year, that'll be more than the PS4 sold its first calendar year.
Yeah.
And yes, like you were saying, the Wii U has sold less than 14 million in its entire lifetime. So Nintendo is anticipating selling more Switches in 1 year than the Wii U ever sold. It's a little bit behind the Wii right now, but they think that with the holiday season, it will be like catch up to where the Wii was at 1 year, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, especially because the Wii launched going into a holiday season, and the Switch hasn't had one of those yet.
We also learned a couple more things. Nintendo has shipped over 2 million SNES classics worldwide. Super Mario Odyssey has already seen sell-through of over 2 million units in 3 days.
Good job, Super Mario Odyssey.
Especially considering that the Switch is at 7.63 million sold.
Yeah, it's a really high attach rate. It's like a third of all Switch owners have Super Mario Odyssey.
And then this is interesting to me. The Nintendo says that the majority of customers are using the Switch in multiple ways. So maybe not surprising that the majority of customers are using the Switch how it was intended to be used, which is in TV mode and also in handheld mode and also in tabletop mode.
Walking the dog, rooftop parties, picnic tables at a basketball game.
Yeah, esports.
Yes, esports.
Warm-ups. Warm-ups before a big
That's right.
competition. But according to like their internal surveys, 18% are using TV mode primarily, 30% are using the undocked modes primarily, and then everybody else is using a little bit of both.
And how do you count yourself if you had to file yourself into one of those three categories?
I think I'm a normie. I use it all.
Switch hitter?
I'm a switch hitter.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I use it in both
I'm
ways.
sorry. I didn't hear the pun until until I heard the disappointment in your voice.
I thought I hit it pretty well.
No, you did not.
But yeah, I use it in TV mode more than I use it in handheld mode, but I use both fairly frequently.
Yeah. Do you find that there are like different types of games that you like to put in your hands and different types that you like to put on the TV, or is there no rhyme or reason to that?
No, I feel like I guess what I think of as like smaller experiences, I like playing in handheld mode. Like I've played a lot of Golf Story in handheld mode. I've played a lot of Stardew Valley in handheld mode.
Yeah.
And not to say that I haven't played Odyssey and like Breath of the Wild and Splatoon 2 like in handheld mode, because I have, but I like seeing those up on the big screen.
Yeah, and I think that's mostly what it is for me too. Is that I just like seeing those. You know, when I got home last night, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play Super Mario Odyssey, and I didn't want my first experience with Odyssey to be in handheld mode. I wanted it to be on the big screen.
Yeah, now that I've been playing a little bit more of Odyssey, I think I'm the same way. Like I feel freer just picking it up and playing it.
Yeah. Now that
A
it
little
doesn't
more
like
like-
need to make a big impression on you or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Stardew Valley isn't never gonna make a huge impression on me. It can be tiny the whole time.
Exactly. And then finally, the Wall Street Journal reached out to Capcom for an article they wrote discussing Nintendo's financial results for the quarter, and they asked Capcom about their support of the system, or kind of like why they haven't put more games on it.
Yeah, hold their feet to the fire.
And
Get them, Wall Street Journal. Get them.
And a company spokesman said that releasing older games on a new console is normal procedure for third-party software developers because there isn't time to make new games for a console within a year of its launch. That is, of course, nonsense.
Right.
If they had wanted to support it earlier.
See also Ubisoft. Also, didn't Capcom like request some sort of like bigger RAM?
Yeah, we talked
for Resident Evil 7. And this is something that we talked about a couple months ago. And Nintendo was like, okay, we'll do it. And then Capcom's like, cool, we're not supporting you.
And look, like, we have definitely done a lot of it because Capcom is super disappointing. But because it's easy to hate on them because they're a mess right now. But it's also easy to see why somebody would not want to throw in behind the Switch, because the Wii U was a disaster, and it was a disaster for third parties especially. So, like, it's easy in the benefit of hindsight with the Switch being seemingly a huge success to be like, how come you didn't have the forethought to put more games on it?
Right.
But if it's also hard to fault Capcom for not wanting to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that like is not hard to fault them for is, and we've talked about this before, is like what's up with the decision that they are making for it. Like you can't put the Mega Man Legacy Collection Volume 2 on there, or Volume 1, or the Disney Afternoon Collection. Like these seem like no-brainers that were at home on Nintendo consoles in the first place. So like, and obviously aren't like super taxing for the hardware or whatever. I can understand Resident Evil 7 and like Street Fighter 5 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite not coming to Switch. That all tracks for me. But like the more retro plays, like that seems nuts.
Yeah, if anywhere, I think that they are kind of regretting their decision. I think it would be in Monster Hunter Worlds, even though obviously the PS4 has an enormous install base. So, but as far as like Japan goes,
yeah,
and even in the West, like the Switch is a hot new system that everybody enjoys playing. Like there was at that like Paris Games expo when Sony was having its Nada Direct, they like Spelunky 2 was announced, and there were a bunch of other like indie games announced coming for PS4 and Xbox One, and all anybody wanted to know was if they were also coming to Switch.
Yeah, is that Guacamelee 2 coming to Switch?
Right, and like some of the other ones that were announced, they were kind of cagey about it. Some of them were pretty heavy-handy. Oh my gosh. Heavy-handed.
Happy camper.
They were dropping hints pretty heavy-handedly that they are coming to Switch eventually.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the system. Even like everybody wants to play games on it.
Yeah.
So anything you can put on it seems to be selling well. And so Capcom has to really be like head in hands right now over some of the, like you said, like Disney Afternoon Collection.
Seems like such an easy one.
Yep. I mean, I own it on the PS4 and I can't
Would
be
buy
bothered.
it a second time. Yeah. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. And that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. If you like the episode, please share it on Facebook and Twitter and any other social network you're on. LinkedIn. Share it on LinkedIn. Can you share things on LinkedIn?
You can absolutely share things on LinkedIn. You can also endorse your friends for Nintendo Cartridge Society.
Yeah, you can say my friend Eric listens to Nintendo Cartridge Society.
They are
That's a skill he has.
at Nintendo Cartridge Society.
We are at NinCart Society on Twitter, and the Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can find more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right here. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?